Greetings guys and welcome. Aquarius, this is your December reading for 2019, the very last one for the year. Hey, welcome to any new subscribers to the channel and thank you for joining us. We are moving through really busy times astrologically, and you can feel that in your personal lives. You can also see and feel it globally and into community wise. As we move out of this decade and into the next decade, the 2020s, things will ramp up, amp up, speed up. It's not going to be a slow pace of time for anyone at any level. And astrologically, yes, a lot is going on. So I'm doing these readings in November. Yesterday was the portal of the 11/11, and in fact when I upload this, for a lot of you it will still be the 11/11 portal. It's a really good one to tap into. It's quite powerful. It has Mercury transiting the Sun in a retrograde position. This is the last time we will see this now for many years to come. So all of these energies that happen go towards what happened to us independently and collectively. Now we've got a different bunch of cards that we can use up here. I'm not sure which ones we will actually select and which ones we won't. But before I started your reading, I did some intuitive work for you, and even before we get to that, I'll just very quickly run over what December holds at a very basic astrological level. So we have a full moon in Gemini on the 12th of December. We also have the 12/12 power day. We have Chiron going direct on the same day. On December the 13th, we have a Friday the 13th, because it's a Friday that month, obviously. Sun enters Capricorn on the 22nd of December. On the 22nd, we also have the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere. And we have the summer one down here in the southern hemisphere, one of my most favourite days of the year. We have Christmas Eve and Christmas Day on the 25th of December. So we move into that really religious perspective time, and often again this is when the veils are opened. So we're going from the Scorpio energies of that thinning of the veil, the connection with spirit, with other worlds if you like, and then we jump into December when we come into the religious energy that transmutes the planet as well, which is full of the white light, the ascended masters. So we're still in a very spiritual acclamation, and it is easier for us to connect with ourselves, with our higher self, with celestial intervention, with spirit guides and such like. So this can be a really powerful time to set your intentions for where you wish to head for the next decade, because remember, this is not just next year, this is the next decade we're talking about. And I seem to ramble on about it, but I really want you guys to understand how important it can be to put good providence forward now and aiming for what you wish for as the decade unfolds. Anyhow, your messages for December, you got the number 6, which is quite a grounded, family-oriented number. You got the third eye coming up, so that's intuitiveness, and you also got the colour mauve. You got this little mantra that you could perhaps use for yourselves in any way that you feel fit. It says, I am the creative power in my world. I express myself creatively as much as possible. So it made me think, well, what are you guys doing about creativity? Are you creating roles? Are you creating things within a career? Are you creating things within relationships or within your own personal agenda? You also got the red base chakra, and the thought that physical manifestations could be coming for you. So the last note I wrote was, are you creating a physical reality that suits you? And there was a question mark behind that, so that means for some of you it's questioning it, and for others of you it's suggesting it's time to think about doing it. So with that in mind, let's go to this deck first. This is the John Holland Psychic Tarot, and this is for Aquarius for December 2019, very last reading of this year, and then of course, as I say, new decade. So Aquarius, what would you like them to know? the waiting game. I wonder what that means for you guys. That's the Two of Wands, so it can be about career, it can be about things that we are creative with in life, and we've just talked so much about creativity. So is there something that you're either planning or you're wanting to jump forward with, or it's on your mind, or you're trying to bring it from the thought paradigm into reality? If it is, there's a timing aptitude attached to it, and it could be that there's somebody else that needs to be brought into it, or it's not quite the right timing to present your project or your ideas or your mythologies, something along those lines. It's not a bad card, it's an interesting one to start off with. It's giving you the hint that time is important in December, and it may be that it rolls itself through to 2020. Oh, now that was the odd thing that I didn't mention. There is, of course, a eclipse on the 26th of December. So that's the last eclipse of 2019, but it's the beginning eclipses of 2020. So eclipses bring out the things that have been hidden, and they can be personal agendas, they can be within groups, they can be global. So eclipses are bound to set things asunder, I guess you could say, and that's sort of how we're going to be starting the new year. So Aquarius, what else would you like to tell them other than that they're waiting on something? And here we are waiting for another card. So there's clearly something strong in this message for you guys. If you are waiting on things, you just have to be patient. You'll just have to feel into why there is a slowing down, or why something's not happening as you expect it to. The next card you've received is number 4, the Authority, which is the Emperor. He's very much about timing as well, quite often, and he talks about March, April type of timing. So whether or not something that you have been waiting on specifically, and it could be to do with a career, so it doesn't have to be though, it could be health, it could be relationships, it could be something you're passionate about, or a career oriented timing thing. It may happen in March or April. It may also have to do with an Arian person, because this is quite often an Aries sign, and sometimes this is an older person and sometimes an older man. For some of you, there's a potential here that this could be a love partnership one way or another, or romantic. So perhaps there's something going on in an intimate relationship, or you are waiting for one to appear, and so there's a possibility that it's coming. You may already know this person, but things aren't going the way you anticipated. There's also, because it says authority here, he can be designated as an authoritarian in terms of legal perspective. He is sometimes a taxman or a government agent or a lawyer. So there might be something that you are wanting signed, or an agenda that you've got going, but there's this waiting period that is holding things up. That's interesting. The solar plexus chakra has also popped out 2, 3, 4. I wonder what that's about. They didn't come out quite numerically in order, but we're way down in this numbering sequence as well, almost as if you're counting something off. Like, are you going 1, 2, 3, or 3, 2, 1, counting down for something? The solar plexus is this area of the body here, so it's right where we hold our strength, and you notice he has his arms folded across that area, almost as if in protection mode, but that is a dominion of strength. So this card was actually reversed anyhow, which tells us that there's a possibility that you guys need to strengthen this part of your body in the physical perspective, and that can be done through exercise, it can be done through meditations, through wearing the yellow colours, eating yellow foods, planking, walking, sit-ups, running. Most importantly, it can be strengthening of this solar plexus area at the spiritual level. So this talks about gaining the emotional strength back within your body. Sometimes this can be here present and especially reversed when we've had a knockback of some sort, or when we have had our strength not necessarily removed by other people, but we've lost our strength one way or another. We're not feeling as strong as we could be. And that again could be tied into physical perception as well as emotional. So regaining this strength in part ties you back into your intuitive abilities, because this is called the gut instinct. And the gut instinct is very similar to the third eye instinct, which is one of the messages I had for you guys. And the third eye is about following your intuitive narrative of life and connecting with that at a higher level. So you're being told to me to connect to your intuitive messages that you're getting and really listen to them. So don't dismiss that gut feeling or the gut instinct or messages that come to you synchronistically or through dreams or through strange events or occurrences. They're telling you something. They're telling you about this path or destiny in the future. So this reading at the moment feels very much about the future and where you are headed with it, and something that you are waiting on to take shape and to move into the current timeline. So yeah, you guys are in the future a little bit, as I say. That's the Star card, number 17, the Hope. It's a beautiful card to turn up in the reading, and we're getting lots of this beautiful yellow power coming through. So we're regaining power, or we're opening or visiting some sort of extension of power, because this guy here, the authority figure, he is also extremely powerful, as you see by his position that he holds and the stance that he has. So the Star card brings effervescence to every other card that is in the reading, and it will go through the whole reading for all of the cards that turn up. And the message that he gives down here is hope. So he's suggesting that there is hope within everything. So if some of you are waiting on a promotion or a positive outcome to a situation, regardless of whether, as I said before, it is to do with career, or whether it is a personal agenda, or whether it is a health agenda or a financial, there appears to be hope in the background. So something is providing this extra buoyancy and extra circumspection that things are going to go okay. Now, the Star card often talks about too, and you can see probably in this beautiful ball of, or this orb of golden light, there's like a little figure in here. That's kind of like the spiritual emanations that the star gives out. So the star always has around it traditionally many little stars, of which I often refer to as being spirit helpers. They can be your guardian angels, they can be archangels, they can be spirit guides, and they're around you at the moment, and they can be wanting to connect with you. So spiritual activity could be quite tingly. You might see flashes of white light, and you might see emanations, and you might be given dreams and visions to work with. So don't dismiss them, and be aware of providence around you and situations that can be leading to something more substantial, especially as time goes on. So what else would you like Aquarius to know for December for 2019? What would you like them to focus on or understand? And then we will move on to another deck. Ooh. Two of them shot out over there. Temptation and the throat chakra. So temptation is the Devil card, and he can represent a Capricorn person as well. So a Capricorn may be playing a role in here, and so may an Aries person. It's a little bit difficult to ascertain necessarily what roles they are. The Aries person could be someone who is holding some sort of effect over this timing issue around a project, idea, concept, or something that you are waiting on. He might be holding it up for one reason or another, or he might be adjudicating over it, or being the decider as to whether or not he wants to be involved and get on board with it. The temptation card we know that that talks about balance and bringing balance into situations, and it can often refer to relationships. So sometimes it can suggest that there is a relationship that could be heading out of balance, and it could be that the throat chakra is invested in this in one way or another. So oftentimes when the chakra cards turn up, it indicates that we are not open enough in the area that they're turning up in. This is the throat. So what does the throat rule? It rules communication. So it could be saying you're not communicating clearly enough, or there might be an imbalance of communication within these relationships that are showing up here. So there's a possibility that you guys need to speak up more, to be heard. There might also be in here the conundrum of listening more, that instead of speaking you need to listen. It could be either way, that the throat chakra is sending its message across. The fact that the star card sits right in the middle of all of these cards is also like I said before, the word providence. It's like a wee generator spinning away in the middle, spinning out this light and protection and aura and energy to actually combust things into happening. So in terms of this temptation card, if it is a relationship that you're feeling is out of balance a little bit and out of kilter, and that someone maybe is speaking too much, or maybe they're not speaking and they're closing down, and you're struggling to find out what it is they want or what they're needing or what the relationship needs to bring balance into, then timing may be this whole agenda, and patience might be part of the whole overall picture for you guys. I'm going to start drawing from some of the other decks to see if we can find out a little bit more. Also with the temptation card, especially at this time of the year when we are wrapping things up in many ways, we can often be really involved in the pleasantries of life, and we can go overboard with socializing, partying, drinking, drug taking, all sorts of excitement, one could say, and that's sometimes what the temptation card indicates. So it often warns us or forewarns us of behavioural issues that we need to address, and these could be things too like addictions to people, or personality addictions that we have to sort out ourselves, or food or alcohol or drugs, or behavioural issues. So you're quite a somber sort of bunch of messages that have come through. And if you look at the borders, you see all these black borders. In real terms, these are like major arcana cards. So they reference fairly big agenda one way or another going on in the background, even though we started with what might seemingly be a minor card, the Two of Wands. And of course the two also talks about balance, because that's what twos always represent, and twos also represent partnership or two people. So there's quite a lot in here about a partnership or people, or close relationships, or the numbering of the twos, and thinking of bringing it into balance. Let's put these ones aside for now, and we'll take a look at these cards, which are the Energy Oracle cards. This is for Aquarius. What would you like them to know? Community, we've got 3 people, and all tied up. Well, all tied up matches this guy really well. It also matches being tied up in terms of perhaps not being able to speak clearly, or not listen to what's going on around us. The Community is a great card, and it does talk often of socializing, of having people around you who respect you, support you, and nurture you. There's great camaraderie in this card, and often it is 3 females. These could be sisters or mothers and cousins, relatives, as well as just community friends. Oftentimes that card represents going out to events and having quite a good time and enjoying life. So that's a possibility. These two down here are definitely going more hand in hand, and you can see that something is tying you up because the waiting game falls into this position as well, and it's tying you up quite emotionally. It feels as though you're a little bit restricted, but we know now that you have to create some sort of internal strength within yourself to move through this. There's a timing factor involved, so timing is in play, which means it's not necessarily going to be resolved overnight, or there is more strategy to form, or there are more people to be introduced, as well as communication is a clear aspect of what is going on here as well. Let's just have a little look further on. Yeah, we're getting a lot of messages for you guys. So much about balance, eh? So you've got this angel of balance popping in. She's a gift in many ways, a little bit like the star actually. And we have the moon as well. Perhaps the eclipse in December is going to destabilize you guys a little bit, or unsettle you, or unnerve you, or open up something new. And this something new might be something you've been hiding from, like something in here, an agenda or a part of you. You know, we're doing a lot of shadow work in life at the moment, and the shadow work is addressing the aspects of us that we have either been hiding from, or don't know how to fix, or are afraid of. So these things come to the surface, especially when things like eclipses happen. The angel of balance just, you know, reiterates what we've said earlier about bringing patience and balance and calm into the situation, and knowing that timing is part of what is going on for you guys. So, and of course, we're also moving into a new decade at the same time as this eclipse is happening. We're moving through really big astrological patterns. A lot of people globally are feeling intense emotions and experiences, lots of internal change. It's nothing to be frightened of, but understanding that it exists and that it's part of our journey is an overall part of the feature of everything. Wow. We're right here. See how much kind of nightscape we've got going on? So I'm also thinking things are happening at night. Maybe this is to do with the hours of darkness, or things that go on at night. There's a lot of this moon energy coming through. So the moon again is about intuitive perspectives, and we talked about that with the third eye at the very beginning. Some of you will really ramp up your spiritual perspective one way or another. For some of you, you might find it a little bit daunting or frightening. For others of you, you could find this an illuminating, magical time. The goddess of the moon is about feeling the magic of understanding the emotions and how they work, and how the universe is working, and the feminine goddess energy and that magical alchemy that goes with it. It's about understanding emotions as well. So emotions might be really heightened over this time for you guys. You might feel very emotional. You might be drawn into certain things. You might be wanting to clear the closet out and remove anything that's been fighting at your boundaries or at your integrity values as well. And that could include people in your lives. It could include attitudes. It could include habits. I think it could be quite an intense time, but at the same time it could be enlightening and cathartic. It could be illuminating is the word that keeps coming. Nice, the door to value has popped out as well. He could be referring back to the very instance when we had the first one, with a little bit that could have been talking about career and timelines. So if some of you have had an issue with around money, then it could be that the timelines are slowly opening, or changes you make one way or another lead you to this door of value. Clearly this is about some sort of monetary freedom, I think the word is, that's wanting to come through, that there's something that frees up. You get this monetary understanding or monetary freedom. Some of it may be coming to you, and some of it may be more understood by you about how to access this, or what doors to open, or what portals. And some of this may come from like an awakening or an epiphany. Let's just see if there's one more for Aquarius with these cards to add to their reading. Take a look at the numbers on the cards too, guys. Not that we can see them all at the moment, but just see what numbers are popping up and whether or not they mean anything to you personally. We saw the interesting numbering pattern at the beginning of the reading. Is there one more in here for Aquarius, or have we finished with this deck? This is for Aquarius for December. I think we may have finished. Okay. Let's just have a look here. These are angels, guardian angels, and various saints. So angels and saints. This is for Aquarius. What would you like them to know? Child, guardian angel. What does a child mean to you guys? What's relevant here for you? Where is your interest in a child? Is a child on your mind? She's a very cute little cherub sitting there playing music. It could actually be talking to you guys about having the child like feeling, coming back to being a child, remembering to laugh and enjoy life, because some of this seems, I said earlier, it seemed a bit intense, especially when we're working with shadow sides, or we're trying to, you know, pull ourselves into a whole perspective and look at all aspects of ourselves. We can sometimes get a little bit intense and we lose that childlike ability to laugh and be joyous and, you know, feel free and happy. So it could be that message. It could also be that for some of you a child is relevant and on your mind. Perhaps there is a child coming into your family and you are going to be receiving the energies of a child as in an extended family. Some of you may find out you are pregnant with child. Some of you may be about to give birth to a new child. Some of you it may be a daughter. Oh wow, there's this other little cherub here. This card came out in one of the other readings, so do remember to check your moon and rising signs. That's beautiful. Heaven is watching over you. So there's a degree of protection in here. And certainly we saw ourselves up in the heavens a lot with the sky around us and the star in particular. So we had a lot of the star and the moon going on. This is another little child here. So sometimes I get the message that these are children who have passed, whether they've been through miscarriage or perhaps have just not grown to full adult life and they passed as young ones. And I mentioned before that this can be a time where we feel the ascended masters and the white light energy coming through. So for some of you this could be a message from heaven, with these little ones just sneaking in to say I love you and I miss you. That's a possibility as well. Other than that, they could be children that are in your life, that are around, that are wanting or needing extra care. There's more children. Something about children for you guys. Pray. Pray doesn't have to mean a religious connotation. It can be just any form of prayer to yourself, to the universe, to people that you wish you could talk with again. It's a really good time of year to open up to that spiritual essence and to make contact. But there's so many beautiful little children in the last part of this reading with these cards. It's beautiful. And we've got the sweetness now. And we know that children have a sweetness and an innocence about them. So we've moved ourselves from this kind of feeling of intensity and shadow and the awakening of understanding, perhaps through work that you might be doing with yourself and through timing agenda. And we've come into this really child driven or youthful feeling, and we're getting this beautiful sweetness and gentle, calm, praying energy. You know, it makes me feel too, is it something that you guys might have experienced when you were young, and that it's going back to childhood, and you are re-merging with parts of that within yourself? That's a timeline agenda, and the timelines are meeting, because that's what the very waiting game was, a timeline. And that somehow this is all coming together and restructuring the you who you are. It's merging you together, and we talked about that even with this card. You know, there are parts of us, the shadow work, that we need to bring in to create the whole being. And as we move into the 20s, this is the type of growth that we're going to see within ourselves, and it's really quite integral work, and it takes time, and it's very hard to break through. So some of you could be on the precipice of moving into these type of new energies of pulling your whole self back together and feeling the wholeness and understanding that and embracing it as you. And if it's not that, as I said, there's something about children, or remembering to have childlike happiness in your life, and joy and bliss and sweetness for all parts of your life. And so while we're on that subject, we are talking about the light energies here, and these are the light keepers. So because this is the end of the year where we get the light energies coming in through the likes of the Jesus Christ energy and the Ascended Masters, these cards have this portal of energy within them as well. So it's a really useful time to call upon Ascended Masters or white light keepers. So who did you get? Oh, wow, Master Buddha, increased awareness. Wow. Deep connection, trust your inner voice. That is so beautiful. And that on his heart is the Om signal, which is the whole energy of the universe. It's the beginning of the utterance of sound of the universe. And it encompasses our spiritual perspective or dynamic in life. And so after just talking about this integration of your whole self, you know, bringing back any aspects of you that have been hidden or shattered or traumatized or not attended to or afraid to merge with, you get this wonderful keeper of the light, Master Buddha, bringing to you increased awareness with a deep connection and trusting your inner voice. I think that is so beautiful. And again, you don't have to be religious in any particular way to understand the messages that these Ascended Masters pass across. So wow, what a beautiful way to finish your reading, because we will stop there. You've received a really, and I said it from kind of the get-go, it was very intense, and I think it's very personal. It's not too much. There were other people in the beginning, but the more and more it went on, the more and more it became about you and how you're dealing with your situations in life. So you're number one and putting yourself first and sorting out what you want to sort out within your own life seems to be your main message for taking you into 2020. So thanks again for listening, guys, and for subbing the channel. I love it when you leave your comments, and so does the community, because everyone can get a sense of interaction, and people do love to also support within the community as well. So I wish you all a very wonderful festive season coming up for Christmas and the New Year. May it bode really well for you guys and bring in this amazing opportunity of self-awareness and connection and freedom and blessings and overall this peaceful aura to your life. Yeah. So wonderful reading, guys. Much love, Aquarians. Namaste.